What's up guys, welcome back to a brand new video, and with the Undisputed beta at an end, we've all had time to sit on it and look back and realise that we enjoyed our time. And we also got an announcement of kind of a second beta, at least we got an announcement that we're doing a second beta. We don't know as of yet fighters, when, what, so on and so forth. But I thought a good video to make would to be a full recap, all the fights, my total record, the outcome of every fight that I had, all into one video. A bit like when I do my full UFC careers all in one video. I thought this would be fun. I thought this was something you guys would honestly enjoy. I just want to say, win or lose or draw, I really have no shame. I think people expect that I'm gonna talk about being the best. I might have a little bit of trash talk with, like, say, Prioxus on Twitter, a little bit of back and forth banter, but I will never hold myself to the point where I believe I'm going to be the best. I want to have fun and I want to entertain you guys. That's what I do. That is kind of my edge to making YouTube videos. I like to be entertaining. Win or lose, you guys will be entertained by the fights that you see. So I'm just going to preface that. I'm not going to finish this video and be like, there we go guys, a beta record of 75-0, just so you know. But anyways, let's get into it. So I loaded in, I'd got my live com ready, my face cam ready. I was excited. I'd done my intro, looking at the roster, the menus. It was time to fight. I was excited, genuinely so excited. 80 minutes later, the excitement was kind of gone. We had been matchmaking for 80 minutes. I'd almost given up, but we found a game. My first ever fight ended up being against someone that I knew, and a very, very good UFC player, Ed Parker. We had a competitive first round, a competitive second round, and by the end of the second round, we disconnected. So we got 4 minutes of gameplay after 80 minutes of waiting. Hopefully I get that rematch against Ed Parker one day. But not a great start to day one. I was kind of just bored at this point, bored of waiting, stressed, but, a disconnect, but it is what it is. But I went into another game, found one after about 5 or 10 minutes, fight 2. My first full fight. We fought from beginning to end. A bit of lag, but we fought. I decided to use Sophie Alish, and they used Terry Harper. This was an extremely close fight. I was the aggressor for most of it, had him on the back foot. He fought well off the back foot using his jab. I like to be the aggressor, try to rip to head and body. But it ended up going the distance where the scorecards read 76-76, 76-76, and 77-75. He was the winner by the skin of his teeth. You could call this fight a win for me. You could call this fight a draw. I have no real issue losing those really close ones. That's what makes it fun. It was a super, super close fight. I don't know if you'd argue that was a majority draw because 2 judges had it a draw, or if you'd have it a majority win. I can't remember off the top of my head, but either way, I kind of took that one as a loss. So be it, I'm happy with that. But at this point, they started to fix the servers a little bit, so I was able to get into a third fight for day one. It only took me about, I think, only about 8 minutes of matchmaking, so it was pretty good. This one was War. I used Mickey Ward the best way I knew in day one. Catch and shoot with hook. Use those straight shots to set up my hooks, and as the slower fighter, I needed to make sure that I wasn't going to try and exchange with a faster Arturo Gatti. This fight, in my opinion, was complete domination. I threw less, I landed less, but I still won. Had a huge stamina advantage. Realised here that I do have a pretty slow-paced style, but the stamina advantage that I will have in most fights benefits me. So the judges read at 79-73, 78-74, and the third judge that was on drugs, 76-76. I won, in my opinion, completely unanimous, but the judges had it as majority, but I'll take that win. Fights 4 and 5, they don't really exist. They kind of just are disconnect screens, just kept disconnecting again, which was unfortunate, but it was what it was. So after 2 full fights and 3 disconnects, the beta had ended, but they decided to extend it from 11 PM till midnight. So I suppose this is fight number 6, but this is actually going to be the 4th fight you guys will see. And we were having a really good fight. I was dominating the fight, absolutely just, there's nothing he could do against me. We had some good exchanges, but I was winning across the board. And at the end of round 5, it disconnected. Absolutely gutted. Like I said, I was backing him up into the corners. I was landing the better shots, landing the better combos. I'm going to call this one a win. I'm going to say that he disconnected because the internet was showing him mercy. I'll count it as a win. GG, bro. And then the beta ended. That was how long it took to find these games on the day one. So the end of day one, it was a tough day. Server issues were stressful. But day one stats were 2 wins, 1 loss, 3 disconnects. If you're an Ain Lanny, then yes, I'm 1-1 with 4 disconnects. And just a little over 2 hours of searching for a game. But I'm going to call it 2-1 with 3 disconnects. And then we start day number 2, a much better day. We get into a fight right off the rip, not even joking. Took me all of 6 minutes. That included loading up the game and starting all my recording, which was just lovely. However, I got my melon jabbed in from pillar to post by this guy. He was great. I tried to pressure him. He was just able to fight well with his jab. I can't take it. We mixed in our loose movement, but he mixed it in better. It was a good fight. He took the win. We had some close rounds, which he took. The scorecards read 77-75, 77-75, and 78-74. He was the winner by unanimous decision, but not a loss I'm upset with because, like I said, he used his jab so well. He used his straight shots. He used his loose movement, his flat-footed movement really well, so fair play to him. Only then took about 10 minutes to find another game with fight number 2 of day 2. Didn't have many issues finding another game. It just sometimes it's just that loading screen just takes a little while to get that match together. I went in again using the slower ward against a tough Gatti. I was trying to utilise the uppercut in this one, but given its lack of damage in the beta, I really didn't get rewarded for it. So it felt like I wasted a good amount of that fight, just given my slower pace and then trying to use the uppercut. It wasn't my best game plan, admittedly. I was fighting on the front foot, pushing him around the ring. He kept circling. And yeah, it was one of those fights where, had I done it again, I would have utilised maybe the lead hook a bit more instead of the uppercuts that I wasn't getting rewarded for, but I'll take that. That's my fault. I should have figured out the game plan sooner. But the scorecards, again, read 77-75, 77-75, and 77-75, which was a split decision, 2 judges to 1 in favour of him, for me taking another L. 2 losses in day 2, but it is what it is. I'm here to improve. That's all that matters. But we get into another fight number 3 of day 2. Again, only took a few minutes to find a game, which I was really enjoying, but I knew at this point we were probably going to get server issues in the next half an hour or so because they were going to add more people because the servers were fine, but it is what it is. So for this fight, I got back to using Sophie Ullish, and after realising, going through her stats, her best shot is the uppercut, and I thought, okay, while limited in this beta, how can I use it to get people to make mistakes? And as the smaller fighter, at least in height, I can go to the body, go on the inside, being clever, rip those uppercuts to the body, good use of in and out fight, and jab, uppercut to the body, backstep. Keep using that movement, letting her gas out by missing tons of shots and putting the pressure on, while also going to the body. She was battered and bruised, body was injured. I was snapping her head back with every shot I wanted to throw. It was great. I ended up hurting her to the body in the last 15 seconds of the final round, but still ended up going the distance. The scorecards reading 80-70, 78-74, and 79-73 by complete domination and getting my first victory for day 2. Now this one did take a little bit to get into. This took about 20 minutes to find this game. But fight number 4 for day 2 was a weird one. This was still the weirdest fight I've had to date, or actually even seen for that matter. This dude kept trying to counter to the body while only defending his body. He kept ducking his head constantly to almost make Mickey Ward's head look kind of glitchy. I just kept the pressure on, ripping to head and body, ended up outlanding him by double, and then knocking him out in the 6th to get my first KO victory. But before that, the judges had it 50-45, 50-45, and 49-46. So I would have pretty much cruised to a unanimous decision. But it was great to get that first KO victory and not use the same hook spam that we have seen in the past where people throw 21 lead hooks in less than 20 seconds, because that's just fucking disgusting. I want to actually pick my shots, throw these power shots, and really hurt this dude. And his style was weird. He was leaving his head open, but this to me showed that the damage is still not quite right. As you guys know, they did improve the damage between day 1 and day 2, but this to me, 5 rounds of him eating power shots to the head while only defending his body, still needs work, but a great win. 2 wins in a row for day 2, and my first knockout victory. Of course, it wouldn't be the Undisputed beta without fights 5 and 6 just being disconnect screens towards the end of the night. They started to add more people, so I expected this to happen, but it is what it is. You know, you take it on the chin. After the 2 disconnects, and I was just matchmaking for like 10 minutes, I just ended up taking a break for 5 minutes, going to get a drink, chilling, started my recording up again. So yeah, I wasn't really too bothered about, like, I need to have 100 games. I wanted to enjoy the process, and waiting in matchmaking for 40 minutes is not enjoying the process. I'm just going to get annoyed. So I just took a 5-10 minute break, and then I came back. But I was able to get my final fight of the night, which was technically fight 7, obviously, but in actual terms of a full fight I played, this was fight 5 for day 2. Now, this fight is the most viewed one on my channel. It's a solid fight. I mixed it up to head and body, using the straights to the head, hooks to the body, started slow and completely started to dominate. Because this guy was throwing tons of hooks, I got lazy and he really lured me into a firefight. I was completely responsible for the 2 final rounds. Round 7 I was dropped, and round 8 I was dropped twice. I got lazy, I got punished, I got myself up, and looking at the scorecards is a tough one for me. I should have won and I'm annoyed at myself. The scorecards read 76-73 across all 3 judges. A fight that I really should have won until that point of me being dropped. So it's definitely a tough L to take there to finish the night, but it was an awesome fight. I really had fun. I got to use the get up minigame and show people that it's not difficult. But, you know, a tough fight to take, but it is what it is, I suppose, you know. But it was a great fight nonetheless. We really went back and forth. It was a gatty mirror match. Not a fan of mirror matches, but it was still a great fight nonetheless. And that was the end of day 2. Day 2 was better. We had a couple of disconnects and long matchmaking times towards the end of the night. But overall, with the damage and stamina improvements, it was a much better day. Finished day 2 with 2 wins, 3 losses, 1 KO win, 2 disconnects, and between 30 to 50 minutes of matchmaking waiting. But that's what it is, you know, it's an online stress test, so it's bound to happen. And then we get into the 3rd and final day, which was day 3, the Sunday. We jumped straight in, didn't really have any issues off rip with a Ward mirror match. I cut him open in the 3rd, which was really interesting. That was like the earliest I'd seen someone bleed. I was causing constant damage on my lead hook. I found the tool that he just couldn't seem to beat or counter or force me off the game plan, and that was the lead hook. These kind of players are the easiest to beat, and while throwing single shots at a time can sometimes be boring, it's a solid game plan. If you keep landing that single shot, you don't need many combos. In the final round, I started to land heavy shots after hurting him, and with 40 seconds left on the clock, I dropped him in the 8th and the final round. Obviously, the 8th is the final round, sorry. And I started the day with a KO. And before the knockout, the judges had it 69-64, 68-65, and 69-64. So to start the day with a knockout victory is absolutely splendid, and it's great to realise that you can use the tools. You know, I've been out jabbed, but then I was able to use my lead hook and the check lead hook and some nice body shots to throw him off that jab game plan. So it was a very exciting fight. Number 2 was just a disconnect screen again. Unfortunately, I thought we were off to a good start, but I realised they started to add a lot more people. So towards the end of the night, we did have some more issues, but it is what it is. But we get into fight number 3. After about 5 minutes, we found another game. A Sophie Alish mirror match, so of course I had to utilise my tools of focusing to the body with her uppercuts. I really focused on that loose movement and power punches when in range, having just shy of 70% accuracy with my power punches during this fight. But round 7, her stamina compared to mine was brutal. She just couldn't do much, there was just not much she could do, and there was only so much she could take. So with 10 seconds left on the clock, I dropped her with a nasty body shot. Fight was over. Round 7 KO to the body. But the judges had me down, believe it or not, 59-56 and 57-57, 57-57. So it was somewhat a clutch victory. But it was a great use of the body shots. It was great to see someone actually go down to that game plan. And like I said, just every time I was on the inside, I ripped to the body. Second you see that guard down to go to the body, you come up to the head and you move away. And that was my game plan all fight. Body, body, head, move away, move away. Maybe head, then body, body, head again. That was my game plan during this fight. It worked a treat. Dropped her during the in the 7th round and got the KO victory. So 2 knockout victories back to back if we don't include the disconnect that we had for technically fight 2. So then we get into fight number 4, maybe my busiest fight. We fought a ton on the inside. It was just back and forth constantly. I wanted to use Gatty straight as one of his higher rated shots, and we both used a lot of counters. I think I used more. We didn't really, I think we did throw a good amount. I think I threw a lot less than him. But it was just a back and forth fight constantly. But while this fight, by the technical ruling of boxing, was a draw, the game gave me the win. So I'm going to take it. The judges robbed me a couple of times during this weekend. So I will take this robbery, which was 77-75 to him, 77-75 to me, and 76-76. It was a great fight, but a good win. It was a real fight that made me think about the pace I'm fighting at. At times, he was outpacing me, and I knew I had to take that step back and calm down and breathe. All in all, a great fight and a good win. But then they started to add a few more people, and fight 5 is just a disconnect screen, followed by a lot of matchmaking screens that I just told to give it a rest. They started to add more people. The servers took a battering. I just had 10-15 minutes off, come back and was able to get into another fight. People were struggling, but luckily I was able to get into a fight. And this was right towards the end, so I knew I needed to make it count. I got to use Harper against Alish, and I absolutely battered her face, causing a cut and swelling on 2 of the 3 swelling points on her face, constantly on the front foot again, holding that center ring, while also draining her stamina. I ate a good amount of body shots, causing my own stamina issues, but I completely outmatched her in this fight. The judges had her 80 to 72, 77 to 75, and 76 to 76. Another good W, and honestly, I believe that the judge who had the draw there was on the payroll. That's just absolute bullshit. But then they did extend it to 2:30 in the morning, and I had to get up about 5 hours later, so I decided to not play. I played until midnight. I got the games that I could, and that was time for me to call it quits there, guys. But the end of day 3 was far better. It was a great way to end the beta. And from gameplay to my improvement in skill while playing the game, I finished 4-0 with 2 knockouts and one or two disconnects, but a good amount of matchmaking pain, unfortunately. But like I said, they did add more. I could have got more fights, but I was just knackered and decided to call it a quits. So recap for this beta, you guys have seen everything that happened over the entire weekend. Day 1, I was 2-1 with 3 major disconnects. I'm saying major because I'm talking about fights that we got into loading screens, we got into round 1 or round 2 and it disconnected. I'm not going to count the ones that just kind of started to load then instantly cut out, and including matchmaking time. You are talking, I'd probably say over the 9 hours we should have got, we probably spent 3 hours matchmaking. It was pretty painful, but overall, like I said, day 1, I was 2 victories, 1 loss with 3 disconnects. Day 2, I was 2 wins and 3 losses with 1 KO win and 2 disconnects. And day 3, I was 4-0 with 2 knockout wins and 1 or 2 disconnects, with a final record of 8 wins, 4 losses, 3 KO victories, no KO losses, and 3 or 4 major disconnects that were midway through fights, which was a pain, and 2 to 3 hours, or honestly 3 to 4 hours of matchmaking time. I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed this beta. I never once felt bored, other than while waiting for a game 90 minutes on day 1. But while playing, I never felt bored or even annoyed. Even when losing rounds or losing fights, it was a fun game, where I felt like I could use my boxing brain and be smart with all of my shot selections. Still things to improve, and I honestly look forward to the next beta. But I'm honestly impressed with the quick updates they made during the weekend. But I think while making these videos, I'm more impressed at the improvements in my own gameplay. I feel like I clearly got better compared from day 1 to day 3. I felt more in control in day 3 than I did in any other day. I also realised that no one really was able to push me back unless I chose to. Once I learned not to get carried away and lured into firefights, I became a much more skilled player, which made the game that much level deeper and that much more enjoyable. But even when losing fights, I thoroughly enjoyed the game. I really had no issues with it other than the matchmaking problems. While not the best record, and while unfortunately only being able to get into 12 full fights, which is unfortunate over a weekend like that, I really don't have any issues with losing fights like that. I mean, out of my 4 losses, 3 of those losses came from day 2 decisions, like really close decisions. So, you know, had I been a bit more active maybe in them earlier rounds, those losses could have all been wins, and I could only have had 1 loss coming towards the end of the beta weekend. But it doesn't bother me. You know, I saw people talking about their records being 18-0, 30-0, you know, oh, I was 38-2. It's like, shut the fuck. You played 40 games when most of us were matchmaking for 3 or 4 hours. That's when I think you need to realize people are just bullshitting you. And already, I mean, it's beta and people are counting their records. The only reason I've counted my record is for this video, and I had to go back and check. I didn't know this off by heart. I actually had to go back and go through all my fights, write down all this information for this video, and write down my record. But overall, a thoroughly enjoyable game. I enjoyed the weekend tons. I think it's definitely a game to play before you comment on it. I saw a lot of people talking about the game, but they hadn't played it. Just stupid way to be, in my opinion. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. While I'm not the best, I enjoyed, and you guys seem to enjoy every fight that I've posted so far, win or lose, you know, and that's all that matters to me. As someone that wants to make videos, I don't care about being the best. I care about entertaining, and hopefully when the game does come out, helping people get better, you know, because I'll always be that mid-range guy, but hopefully people will be able to be a better video game player than me and use the perhaps the skills or the knowledge that I may have and use it better than I can use it. So, you know, that's kind of what I hope for. But like I said, the beta, hopefully beta 2, I will play better, and hopefully we will get 10 round or 12 round fights, because 8 rounds did not benefit my slow pace style. I lost the first 1 to 4 rounds of every fight just because I was so slow paced. So I really cost myself a lot of losses there, but it is what it is. Anyways, thank you as always for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it. Drop a like, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on the video, on my, you know, on my beta experience. You know, where could I have done better, do you think? And yeah, but thanks as always for watching, guys. Like I said, don't worry about being the best, just worry about having fun. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.